Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the DCL Show, your source for Disney Cruise news and reviews. Coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by Dreams Unlimited travel agent Elaine Edwards.
Hi, friends.
And our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Ahoy, hoy.
And just before we get started, we're going to talk about kids clubs this week. But before we get to that, just a reminder, this show, along with everything we produce, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com, of which I am one of the owners. If you like our content and want to show your support the best way, book your next Disney cruise through Dreams Unlimited Travel. It costs you the same as if you book through Disney directly. And on top of that, you get up to $1,000 in shipboard credits for you to spend when you get on board. So please, DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. So, this week, we are going to talk about the kids clubs. Actually, Elaine is going to talk about the kids clubs because I couldn't tell you much. Not having kids, not really interacting with the kids clubs, trying to avoid them like the plague. So, Elaine, talk to us about kids clubs.
Okay, so it breaks down to essentially 4 different kids clubs on the ship, and it is by age. So starting at our youngest sailors, they would be going into the Small World Nursery, and this is for ages 6 months up to 3 years old. And with the Small World Nursery, unlike the other kids clubs, there is a fee that is attached. I believe the last time I checked it was $4.50 per half an hour. And that you do pre-schedule that in advance under normal sailing conditions. You pre-schedule that in advance. Right now, all of them are pre-scheduled, but we'll talk about that as we get there. And with that, they have it. It is Small World themed. It is Mary Blair artwork themed. It's actually beautiful, and
It's adorable, yeah.
It really is. My room could look like that sometime. So they have it divided into 2 areas. There is a playroom area, and then there is a quiet area that does have cribs. And they do provide snacks, which is like juice and crackers, and then they will serve lunch and dinner there as well. Something that you would provide when you take your child there is bottles as well as formula, diapers, wipes, that kind of thing, and any kind of personal like pacifier, change of clothes, that kind of thing. Next up is the Oceaneers Club and Lab. This is for ages 3 up to age 12. Oh, sorry, going back one thing on Small World Nursery. As of the recording of this show in January of 22, it is not reopened on any of the ships. So just keep watching those need-to-knows on Disney Cruise Line's website because they change them literally every week. As Disney Cruise Line is going through its reopening stages, every week things are changing, new things are opening up, things are returning, coming back each week as we move forward and we progress. So while the nursery is not open while we're recording this show, eventually it will. So
there hasn't been any age changes to how young your kid can be on Disney Cruise Line. No. It's just the nursery isn't open.
It's just the nursery.
Okay.
And as far as ages go, because people do ask a lot, you have to be at least 6 months old to sail, and that is a hard and fast rule, unless it is the transatlantic. Or there is one more, and I can't remember which one it is. It might be, I can't remember which one it is. I'm sorry. But it's one of the longer ones that Panama. They do have to be a year old in order to do that one. And it is something that people kind of forget about because when you book these cruises 18 months in advance, you may not even have a kid by then, get pregnant, have a kid, and then it's like, oh yeah, we have one extra passenger for this cruise. So that has happened.
I'm sure.
So Anyways, moving on. Oceaneer Club and Lab. This is for ages 3 to 12. So they do have to be potty trained before they move up to the Oceaneer Club and Lab. This is located on deck 5 midship of all of the ships, except for the Wish. We think it's going to be in a different place for the Wish. And fun fact, when you're on deck 5, which I know, as you said, you like to avoid that area, the ceiling is actually a lot lower. It's actually very noticeably lower on that deck, and it's because of the kids clubs there that they like to make the kids feel bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah. So
I never realized that.
yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's cool.
That it's like it's
That's a Disney touch.
kind of like letting you know this is a different area. This is the kids area. So I think that's really cool. And so when you go there, under normal times, you do not have to schedule times for the kids to go. They can kind of come and go. However, as of the recording of this show, you do need to book Kids Club's time in advance. And the way that is going is that once you get to 30 days out and you do your online check-in, at that time, you can schedule I believe it's a 2-hour block for each day, and you can schedule that time. Then once you get on the ship, you can check for more availability and add times on. So they're just limiting the pre-scheduling, but everybody that I talked to has been able to add more times once they got onto the ship. So while you're there, this area, there's the club side and the lab side, and there's kind of a corridor in between them, and they have different things going on. Each of the ships, besides the Dream, have like a Marvel Superhero Academy. They have arts and crafts areas. They have video games areas. They have actual like physical play areas. They have characters come in that do like story times and like physically moving and dance parties, and they play games with them. And the counselors are very, very interactive. And when I took my kids on my first cruise, I thought, they might go in there one day or something. No, they basically live there. And I never saw my kids.
The stories I've heard almost from the very beginning of Disney Cruise Line is that the problem, first of all, sometimes you got to really work to get your kids to go because they don't want to.
Right.
But once they're in there, they don't want to leave. And parents are like, no, you've got to come spend some time with us. And they're like, no, we want to be in here.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot of my clients that I talk to, they're like, well, we don't really know if our son's going to be interested. And so I say definitely show them videos ahead of time of what it looks like and the things that are there. And then once you board the ship, you can actually have an open house. And so you can go in with them and take a look around and see everything, and they'll see how cool it is. And it really is. Like, I never see my kids on the cruise because they want to be in there the whole time. So the way you set it up is that you do authorize. It's very secure and locked down. So you authorize what adults can take your kids out of the kids club. Each of the kids, and you actually have to set up a password, and they have to know what the password is. Each of the kids get a wristband that looks just like a magic band, acts like a magic band, and it actually GPS tracks them where they are in the club. So when I would go to pick up my kids, they would say, oh yeah, Riley is at this video game area. And they knew exactly where he was. And I thought that was very cool because they kind of know where he is. If they are over the age of 10, you can authorize the child to check themselves out of the club so they can leave when they want to. So the child can check themselves out if you allow them to. Otherwise, they will just call you. They called me via our stateroom and just said, hey, Riley's ready to come be picked up, and I was able to come get him. The way that they are operating right now is that, as I said, you have to schedule times in advance, and they're dividing the kids into groups. It's very likely it's by age, but I don't know that for sure. And they're actually rotating them through the different stages and the different activities during that 2-hour block that they're in there. So they kind of get to experience each of the areas that the club and lab have to offer while staying safe, because they're only interacting with a small group of kids at one time rather than everybody in the kids club all interacting all over the place, and they can sanitize the stations in between them rotating and that kind of thing. So they are doing a lot to keep the kids safe. And they have a special hand washing station before they go in. I like to call it the hurricane station, because you put your hands in and it feels like a hurricane as it spins around on them. I wish they had that everywhere because it's fun.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I've never understood, because Royal Caribbean has those on their ships, and it's like it is the best way to wash your hands in terms of like it times it all out for you. So, we all know the person who goes in the bathroom if they wash their hands at all, because I know, we're all supposed to now, but there are still plenty of people who do not, and it's disgusting. Please stop doing that. But there's still the people who will literally walk in, splash, and then just go with these things. I mean, your hands are in. When it stops spinning, that's when you can pull them out. It's an incredible marvel. I love going to the open houses at the kids club, not because I'm a weirdo, but I like to wash my hands. And it's because they force even the adults to wash their hands before going in too. But,
and they sit there and they watch you.
Yep.
Like, they're like, you didn't wash your hands. Like, they watch you wash your hands.
Yeah. Elaine, I did want to point something out with what you said before in terms of like, have the kids watch the videos to know what they're expecting. Just absolutely double, triple check that you're watching videos about the kids clubs on the correct ships, because otherwise they're going to walk on to their cruise thinking like, I can't wait to experience this Marvel area on this ship. And then they get there and it's Star Wars. And all of a sudden that's a pretty big letdown. So it's double, triple check that you are actually watching the correct information. And I also looked up for the Disney Wish. That's going to be on deck 2, that they're going to have everything. And on deck 3, that's where there's going to be the check-in with the slide that the kids get to slide down. And many adults are going to be jealous. And I'm sure there's going to be
at least one.
I'm guessing there's going to be at least one drunk adult who they're going to put up like a net in front of it, like they do the regular slides on the pool area that you can't go down after a certain hour. I'm sure there will be someone who still tries to figure out their way through.
No question.
Yeah. It won't be me. I'm just like putting that on record now. I'm not getting banned from DCL just to go down a slide.
That's good to know.
And what Craig said is actually really good advice for anything that you're looking up as far as DCL, is verify what ship you're looking at, because they're all different. They all have different features, and they all have a little bit different tweaks here and there. And there's a lot of times that people get confused, that they get on the ship and they're like, oh, I thought this had this. No, it has that, because that's the other ship. So, okay. And as you are leaving and you have a child that's in the Oceaneer Club and Lab, that wristband that they let your child use, which they actually keep that the entire time, make sure that you return it. Otherwise, they will charge you for it. A good $29 fee.
Really?
Yes.
Guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Who knows? So, moving on, next level up is the Edge. This is for ages 11 to 14. So, there is a little bit of a crossover here. So, for ages 11 and 12, the kids can actually choose if they want to do Oceaneer or if they want to do Edge, but they need to choose one and stay with that one, because they don't really want them going back and forth between the two clubs. They want them registered to one of them and stay in one of them. At the Edge, it will have video games, TVs, board games, that kind of thing. The counselors there really try to interact with the kids, and they do a lot of things like karaoke, they do scavenger hunts, they do crafts, games, that kind of thing. And this is that age where they kind of start seeing the same kids over and over again that are in there. And the kids actually start to make some pretty good friendships. We hear that a lot, that they become very close friends with each other, and they want to start doing things outside of the Edge, and they're getting the families together. And
you see it all the time.
Like, it's so fun.
Groups of them, running around the ship.
Exactly. Exactly. And that carries over up to the Vibe as well. And that's where we really start seeing that. The Vibe is for ages 14 to 17. On the Wonder and the Magic, it's in the forward funnel. And then on the Fantasy and the Dream, it's really cool because it has an indoor space and an outdoor space. And then their outdoor space has its own like sun deck with a small pool and everything. And so that's really fun for them because they don't have to go to the main pool. They've got their own private pool area, and they have like a soda bar there. I think they also have like a coffee bar there. And this is same kind of thing. My son that was in the Vibe when he was that age, he still today has friends that he texts with that were there from like 3 years ago. And like one of them lives in the UK, and he's made these friends from this cruise because they would hang out in the kids club. And then when it would close, they would hang out on other parts of the ship and that kind of thing. And, you know, one thing that we hear from people that cruise on other cruise lines is that they kind of get a little annoyed sometimes because there will be kids running around the ship all over the place unattended.
You will see that from time to time.
Exactly. And so that's the really cool thing, because their kids clubs are not necessarily to the elevated level that the DCL kids clubs are. You know, the kids want to be in these DCL kids clubs, and they've really made it a really great space for them, and it's safe and it's secure. So I feel 100% comfortable letting my kids go there. And like I said, I'm like, no, you have to come to dinner. We are having dinner. You have to come to dinner. Yes, fine. You can go afterwards. Fine. So yeah, it's great. It really, really is. So yeah. I think that's about it. We've kind of broken it all down. We know what they're doing now. So.
And of course, if you have questions or you need a great agent to help you with your cruise, Elaine at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. She can definitely help you out.
I can help you out. I have a lot of kids, so we have experience in the kids clubs.
All right. Well, that, folks, is going to do it for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another episode of The DCL Show. Have a great week, everyone.